No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for November 28th, 2022. We are coming off the Survivor Series War Games premium live event. I would like to give a shout out to the early birds in the chat room: Dave Scheffler, Matt Helms, TMC, CC Drink, D Martin Fifth, Teaching in Color X, Jonathan Perez, and Mike B. I very much appreciate you all for tuning in right at the beginning. And if you want a shout out for future videos, make sure you comment right off the bat, even before the stream starts, and I'll give you a shout out. Now, let's get to Monday Night Raw. We had footage shown from Survivor Series, and then we had the man, Becky Lynch, making her first appearance on Raw in several months. She talked about how she missed everyone. She is a full-fledged babyface again. Crowd chanted, "Welcome back." She went into the crowd and started high-fiving fans, started talking to the fans. Bayley interrupted the festive promo. Bayley said that she has gotten no respect for everything that she has done. Becky responded by saying, well, Bayley keeps losing, and that's why nobody respects her. Becky was ready to fight, but then Dakota Kai and Io Sky ambushed Becky Lynch in the crowd. There was a huge fight. Bayley got involved. It was basically 3-on-1. They fought into the concession area, and somehow Becky Lynch held her own against Damage Control, and eventually you had referees and security to break them up. I really liked this intro for Raw just because it was something different. Becky Lynch talking in the crowd, I liked that. They did the brawl in the concession stands, which is always cool. I'm a fan of that whenever it happens. Good opening to the show. I liked it. I like the change of pace and doing something a little bit different, just changing it up a little bit. Thumbs up for this start. Then we had our first match of the evening, which was Rhea Ripley versus good old Jeff Meechan, Mia Yim. She had her old NXT song, which is a positive, of course. Better than the Def Rebel stuff. Caleb Jacobs with a $2.32 super chat. Thank you for that, Caleb. Says, finally, Becky Lynch is back being the man. Yes, and the crowd was loving her. Definitely the right decision. Just stop having her wear the diva outfits. So Rhea Ripley quickly fled to the outside of the ring, whispered something to Dominic. She had a plan. Rhea Ripley did take control of the match for a while. Mia was able to make a comeback. She avoided the riptide, but Rhea Ripley once again went to the outside of the ring, and Mia Yim was going to hit a dive, but Dominic Mysterio prevented her from doing so. She brought him into the ring. Rhea Ripley took advantage of the situation, but then AJ Styles ran down and attacked Dominic. Now, neither Styles nor Dominic attacked either female competitor, but I guess the referee felt the match was over. He threw it out, even though neither participant was touched. And holla, 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 you know how these segments go. It's the old Vincent Kennedy McMahon special. Match ends in a DQ, which we haven't really seen in a while, but it's back. Match ends in a DQ, and then sure enough, OC runs down, Judgment Day runs down, AJ Styles gets on the mic and issues a challenge. 8-person tag team match, Judgment Day versus the OC, and of course a referee runs down, and we have ourselves a tag match. What a shocker. Singles match ends in a DQ, turns into a tag team match. Why not just book an 8-person tag match in the first place. I just am not a fan of this stuff. And yeah, I'm going to complain about it. D. Martin 5th sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, which War Games concept would you have preferred for Survivor Series? Pinfall and submission or submission and surrender? I'm fine with the pinfall and submission. And for the men's War Games match this year, the pinfall worked just fine. Like Kevin Owens submitting, giving up. Not sure how I would feel about that. I think it was the right call to do the pinfall or submission. But yeah, back in the day with the old War Games matches, you could only end the match by submission or surrender. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, Teddy Long special, letter grade down. Pretty much. And it's a shame because the opening segment was a nice change of pace and then it was back to the norm. I should note that this was commercial free this first hour of Monday Night Raw. And in that sense, it was better than usual because the commercial breaks tend to take you out of the moment a little bit. It was nice to just have it straight through with the entire match, not having the commercials to interrupt. That, I will say, was a positive. However, I am not a fan of these types of segments traditionally. Anyways, 8-person tag match. We had Damian Priest and Luke Gallows going at it for a while. Dominic came in with a distraction. And then Judgment Day worked over Anderson for a while. Dominic did the Three Amigos, which always gets the heel heat. And shout out to Norfolk, Virginia. Better crowd than usual. One of the better Raw crowds of the year. They did bring some energy to this show, which absolutely helped. Styles eventually got the hot tag, and Damian Priest was tackled onto the announce table by Luke Gallows. Styles went for a cover on Finn Balor, but Rhea Ripley broke up the pin. Mia Yim tagged in. They went at it. The men came back in. It was chaos. Mia Yim at one point slammed Finn Balor and then went after Dominic, but Rhea Ripley took out Mia, hit her with the Riptide, and picked up the 1-2-3 victory. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. Rhea Ripley continues to build up momentum, and man, I would much rather see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania than Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair. I'm just putting that out there in the universe. We'll see what happens. And by the way, you guys can see the red and black no DQ t-shirt, which is available now on nodq.com/merch. Use the code earlybird. Time is running out because it's Cyber Monday and you have to get it now if you want that discount. No DQ merch over at nodq.com/merch, of course. Get the No DQ red and black t-shirt. And as Walter Cruz would say, get merchy. Backstage, the Street Profits were back. Montez Ford out of action for a while. They were happy to be back. They were interrupted by Alpha Academy, and a challenge was issued. Chad Gable said that Raw has been better off without the Profits, and they are going to put the Profits on the show for good. We then had the Bloodline coming down to the ring for a celebration promo after winning at Survivor Series. They talked about how for the first time there are no cracks in the Bloodline. They talked about how the 6 months were not easy. Sami Zayn said that Jey Uso did accept him, and it was pretty oozy. They're now on the same page. Sami Zayn offered a handshake. Jey Uso responded by hugging him. Jimmy Uso came in for a hug too. You got to give the people what they want. Oh, whoops, wrong show. Crowd was loving this, by the way. They were chanting Usi. They popped big when Jimmy said that Sammy was his dog. We then had Kevin Owens show up, and Kevin Owens had a lot to say. Kevin Owens said that he's not mad at Sami Zayn. He understands what Sami Zayn did because Kevin Owens betrayed Sami Zayn in the past. Kevin Owens admitted it. However, Owens said that Sami Zayn is not the Usos' real blood and never will be. Jey Uso said Owens is mad because he has no family. And Owens said he doesn't want to have anything to do with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn agreed, said that he doesn't want to be in the same room with Kevin Owens ever again. And a challenge was issued. Owens said he doesn't want anything to do with Zayn, but he definitely wants a piece of main event Jey Uso, and Jey Uso accepted the challenge, and this was set up for the main event of the show. I enjoyed it. I like how we got this Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn friendship split, which will make the eventual reunion all that sweeter. Well done here. Although the Bloodline are supposed to be the heels and the crowd is just absolutely loving these guys. And I'm still hoping on SmackDown we get like a Blood Brothers segment where Sami Zayn has to swap blood or swap spit or do something or have some kind of initiation as an official Uso. Maybe even say he has to get that tribal tattoo. They got to do something like that, some kind of big ritual for Sami Zayn being an official Bloodline member now and not just an honorary Us. We had a clip of Candice LeRae being attacked, and Candice was back this week after being gone for a bit. She reintroduced herself and said she is going to be the one that takes Dakota Kai out. We also had a backstage interview segment with Riddle and Elias. Elias said he saw himself as more of a solo act, but did admit that him and Riddle are a pretty good tag team. And Elias brought up how he's never won WWE Gold. That's when the Bloodline interrupted and said that Elias will never win a title from them. And that's when Elias issued a challenge. Jey Uso accepted it, and that match will take place on next week's Raw. At this point, that's the only thing they announced for Raw on next week's show. We then had the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. Good match here, but pretty standard. Profits did some stereo dives. Ford looked very good in this. Ford did have Gable beat, but the referee was distracted by Otis. And then they worked over Ford for a while. Dawkins got a hot tag. Things started to break down. Ford actually body slammed Otis. And then Ford was tagged back in. Ford hit the big frog splash and picked up the win over Chad Gable. So Street Profits back, get a big win here, and we'll probably see them versus the Usos again at some point just because there's really no other teams that have been built up strongly. Hopefully they have a storyline that's compelling for the Street Profits, and it's not just going to be the usual match versus the Usos. We did see the New Day face the Usos again the other week, so would not surprise me if we once again see the Profits go after the Usos. Then we had Austin Theory come into the ring for a promo. Theory said, "Who's the kid now? Who looks stupid now? He is the United States champion." He bragged about his win at Survivor Series, said people were jealous. And then we had an interruption from Seth freaking Rollins wearing another outlandish outfit. I guess he's still going to be doing that, even though he's a babyface character now. And he said, "Congratulations, kid," which Theory did not appreciate at all. And Rollins said Monday still belonged to him. They don't have to wait to fight. They could do it right there on the spot. Theory said he will fight Rollins, but it is going to be on the champ's time. And then he walked away, and that was that. No Bobby Lashley on this show, by the way. We had a little video package for The Miz and Dexter Lumis to hype up their match, where if Lumis won, he would get a WWE contract. Miz was interviewed backstage. He had a bag of money. He said the match wasn't going to happen. He's hurt. He re-injured his hand. You had Adam Pearce show up and say it's all a bunch of BS. Miz is not hurt. The match will happen. So Lumis came to the ring. Miz showed up, but then tried to leave. Pearce appeared and stopped Miz from leaving. Lumis attacked Miz, and we officially had our match. Miz caught Lumis with a DDT in the ring, and that's when he told the referee to start the match. But then Lumis popped right back up, and Miz tried to use a clamp on Lumis's head, which was quite amusing. Lumis, of course, no-sold it. Miz tried to escape through the crowd. They brawled into the crowd. Lumis threw Miz into a television monitor and then laid out Miz on a table, jumped off a platform with an elbow drop, putting Miz through the table, and then carried Miz back into the ring. Miz exposed the middle turnbuckle, sent Lumis into it, tried to pin Lumis with his feet on the ropes, but Lumis still kicked out. And then Lumis kicked back up, put on his vice submission, and Miz had no other option but to tap out. So yes, Dexter Lumis wins. Dexter Lumis is now officially on Monday Night Raw. And then afterwards, he started giving away the Miz's money. He was giving $100 bills to children. Miz grabbed a bill from one of the kids. He attacked Lumis and then grabbed the bill from the kid, which I thought was great. I mean, what a jackass to do that to a kid. But then Johnny Gargano super kicked the Miz and gave the $100 bill back to the fan. I enjoyed this. This was fun. Some comments in the chat room about Indy Hartwell. They really need to get her on the main roster. They might as well reunite her with Lumis and Gargano, and hell, you could just reform the Way as a babyface faction. Maybe they could feud with Judgment Day at some point. We had, speaking of Candice, we had Candice LeRae jumping Dakota Kai during Dakota's entrance. Candice was trying to get some payback. Bayley and Io Sky ran down, and officials were there. It was chaotic. And interestingly enough, this was shown picture-in-picture, which is unlike WWE. They usually don't do anything significant during the picture-in-picture, but they did on this particular show. Match went very back and forth for a while, but the idea was that Dakota was not 100% coming off of the War Games match. Candice was doing pretty well for herself. She missed a lion salt, though, and then after they traded blows, Dakota hit a scorpion kick. Candice kicked out of that, and then they both ended up on the top, and Candice got the better of Dakota, hit the neck breaker, and scored the 1-2-3 victory. Candice picks up a good win here, although she did beat a less than 100% Dakota Kai, and Candice also jumped her before the match. So they protected Dakota Kai in defeat, but nonetheless, the record book will say Candice LeRae picked up a win on Monday Night Raw, November 28th, 2022. So good for her. We had a War Games video package highlighting some of the moments from the show. And then we had the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss interviewed backstage. Bianca said that physically she's been better, but mentally feeling good. Finally taking care of damage control. All the ladies came together. Now, as she was talking here, Alexa showed no emotion. She was just out with a blank stare, and I think Bray Wyatt's logo may have popped up for a split second, which of course is a teaser and getting fans guessing, is Alexa Bliss going to go back with Bray Wyatt? Alexa was then asked about if she had any comment, and that's when Alexa started smiling and said, yeah, adding Becky was a good call. But yeah, clearly they are teasing the idea of a heel turn for Alexa Bliss, which I think she very much needs. She's been going flat on Monday Night Raw as of late, kind of just been there, but this could be a great opportunity to turn her. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, is Bliss being corrupted by Bray's howdy persona? Who knows? I mean, time will tell. We still haven't seen any other members of this Wyatt Six. I mean, Bray Wyatt has been a babyface up to this point, but could Uncle Howdy be an entirely different character that's been pulling the strings of Bray Wyatt, and maybe Uncle Howdy has his own faction? I mean, there's a lot they could do with this. We'll see where they go with it. And then we had the main event of the evening, which was Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. As you would expect, very good match with these guys. They brawled on the outside for a while, and it was another back and forth match. Owens got thrown into the corner of the ring, took a pretty nasty bump, and then Owens made a comeback, hit the cannonball. They traded blows, and then Jey once again got the upper hand. And he attempted the superplex, but Owens countered it into a fisherman suplex, one of his trademarks. And then Owens went for the frog splash, but Jey kicked out. And then Jey hit Owens with a super kick. Owens kicked out. Owens kicked out of a second super kick. And then Jey went for the Uso splash, but Owens was able to avoid that. He hit the stunner, picked up the 1-2-3 victory, and Raw abruptly went off the air. The bloodline was out there, no distraction finish, just a clean win for Owens, and that was the end of Raw. While I did like the match, I was a little let down that the ending felt so abrupt with no cliffhanger. Nothing to set us up for next week, nothing like that. I felt the ending was a little flat, but the match was good, as you would expect from those guys. City by the Bay with a $2 super chat says, what differences have you seen with Triple H running Raw? Well, for one thing, the fact that we have seen less DQs. Instead, we've seen more distraction finishes. We've seen wrestlers getting more in-ring time. The matches seem to be a little bit longer. They've cut out some of the filler, like the 24/7 segments. The announcers have a little bit more freedom. The wrestlers have a little bit more freedom on the mic. They can say terms like wrestler and hospital again. So there are little changes that we have seen, but Raw still drags. And I did enjoy the first commercial-free hour, but I did feel like Raw started to drag as the show went on. Third hour was a bit tough for me, but all in all, Raw was fairly solid, and thus I'm going to give it a B-. Definitely not one of my favorite Raws by any stretch, but it was a perfectly acceptable 3-hour show. And we did have some fun moments. We had some good wrestling. I just wish they did a little bit more to build up next week. I'm a big fan of the cliffhangers, and I like when they they do something to really keep you on the edge of your seat. So you're like, man, I really want to tune in next week. And I mean, I really have no desire to watch next week's show. I mean, it's my job and all, but they really did not give me much. Elias and Riddle against the Usos. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good match, but man. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says, tomorrow in history, 1999, Stephanie and Test's marriage is interrupted by Triple H. We all know what happened there. Yes, we do. That was an infamous edition of Monday Night Raw. I believe that was at the Staples Center. I think that was the first Raw at Staples Center after the arena opened. And it's not the Crypto Arena as far as I'm concerned. It's the Staples Center. And Triple H coming out there showing the Las Vegas footage. And man, that was a really significant moment in WWE history because we had Triple H and Stephanie paired on screen. And that led to the real life relationship. And that very well changed the landscape of WWE. That one segment alone made a big difference. Imagine if that never happened and Triple H was never paired up with Stephanie. Could the whole landscape of WWE today be different? Who knows? Very significant moment in wrestling history. Psycho Jet Black has a $2 super chat here. Interesting question. If not Randy Orton, who should Riddle fight at WrestleMania? Man, I'm not even sure because Riddle seems to have no clear direction right now. If Randy Orton's not back for WrestleMania, then I definitely think that they need to start building up something, and maybe Riddle turns against Elias. I mean, it's not the ideal scenario, but I think Riddle could really benefit from a heel turn and drop the whole goofy stoner gimmick that he's been doing. Dave Scheffler sent in a $1 super chat. Thank you for that, Dave. He left no comment, but I appreciate the super chat, or maybe it's a sticker and I'm just not seeing it. Nonetheless, thank you for that. And that was Raw, everybody. Now, quick plug before I go. NoDQ.com 2022 year-end awards. 23 years it's been done on the website. Nominations can be sent over at NoDQ.com. There's a link in the features section. You can fill out the survey, or you can leave your nominations in the discuss comments section at the bottom of the page. So make sure you do that, because every year I get comments from people. Why wasn't this person nominated? The nominations determine how the final polls are presented. So make sure you nominate your favorite wrestler or pay-per-view or whatever the category is. Make sure you send your nomination. Every nomination gets counted, and that's what determines the final polls for the year-end awards. NoDQ.com. Check it out. And that's it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Watch the No DQ review. Big Vito was on. If you missed it, Big Vito, he was ribbing Walter Cruz, but Walter was a good sport about it. Check it out. Dave Scheffler sent in another $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Dave says, did you notice that Sammy didn't really interfere, but Solo and Jimmy did? Well, there you go. I mean, that's a little teaser for the future, a little subtle hint that Sami Zayn, even though he said he wants nothing to do with Kevin Owens, it's kind of like the couple that loves each other. They break up. They say, I'm never going to see you again. But you know, deep down, they really love each other. And you're just waiting for that moment that they reconcile and get back together. And I think that's what's going on here with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And another interesting thing I forgot to mention, Solo Sikoa, how the Usos are celebrating, hugging Sami, and Solo's just standing there, no emotional reaction. So I wonder if that could end up being something like Solo is slowly plotting a takeover and going to try to dethrone Roman Reigns. Like, that's a storyline they could do too. It's very interesting, these little teases for the future. But I like to see the immediate teases with the cliffhangers and so forth. So that's one thing I'd like to see improved with Raw, especially when we have 2 months now until the Royal Rumble. Like, you got to keep us invested. Like, I don't want to go a full month here just not caring about Monday Night Raw. You got to shake things up here in December and not coast along. Anyways, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Much love. I appreciate you all. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And remember, say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time. Have a great week, everybody.